Welcome back to Reading Bear. Today, we will take a look at some new malicious compliance stories. And if you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comments. Let's go!
First one is titled, "Won't adjust the schedule so I can attend prom?" Back in my younger days, before most people had cell phones, I was working at a fast food restaurant during my senior year of high school. The main reason I decided to work there was because one of my best friends worked there, and around the time I started working, our other best friend joined us. We were very close, and we spent our minimum wage earnings on stupid stuff. This fast food restaurant was the king when it came to burgers, so we had to learn how to prepare a Whopper of a hamburger in no time flat. We also had to learn how to manage the fried food station, the registers, the drive-thru, all specialty items, and all cleaning and end-of-day operations. We were pretty sharp kids despite being stupid teenagers, and within a couple months we could run an entire shift by ourselves. Normally there were at least 4 or 5 workers and a manager. We were regularly scheduled with just 3 of us and a manager to work all the night shifts, and we enjoyed working together and running the store. We knew the manager was saving money on labor costs, which made the whole store look good when compared against other stores in the district, but we didn't care. We worked hard, had fun together, and made a nearly criminally small wage for our efforts. At the time it seemed like we had made it big. As it tends to do, prom season came around. We all went to the same school, so we all had prom on the same day. Compounding the issue, one of my friends was taking another worker as his date. Thinking it would help with scheduling, we notified our managers several weeks in advance. We were all told, no. We found that amusing, because of course we were going to go to our prom. Well, the company policy was that as long as you called before missing a shift, then you wouldn't get in trouble for calling in with an emergency. We timed our calls so that we would all call within a few minutes of each other. The poor manager on shift almost broke down crying, but we felt self-righteous as teenagers often do. I was the last to call, and the manager was full on begging me to not call out sick. We went off and enjoyed our prom. The next day when we went in for our shifts, we found out the store had struggled in our absence. The manager had scrambled to get people to come in on their scheduled day off, incurring some overtime. To call overtime discouraged with that company would be an understatement. Some of the managers glared at us, while some others gave us knowing grins. Within a week, we were only ever scheduled with 2 of us working together. I'm sure it ended up costing the company a lot, but it was also very clear that the management had gotten in trouble for not fixing the schedule when we informed them of our prom. The story does have a happy ending. I met my wife while working there, and we've been together for over 20 years now. Next and last one is titled, "Fire me in the middle of a project, have me wipe my phone and computer?" Good luck with that. This story is from when I held a management position at an IT company which serviced small businesses. This event was during the company's 3rd year, prior to it falling apart like a house of cards. Little history and background. Okay, fine, a lot of history and background, but it all ties together. I had been with the company since a month after the owner opened the doors of the company. I accepted the job as his only PC repair tech and on-site repair tech, which was paying 1/4 less than I could have been hired for at any other IT company, along with an offer of 10% non-voting share of the company. The owner knew some IT but wasn't able to do all the work, realized he would be office-bound and need to do a lot of sales, account generation, so he hired me to do the work. Sure, I could have been paid more elsewhere, but here was the opportunity to get into the ground floor of a company and really have a say in molding the service side. I was in my early 30s, so I thought it was a good career move. Yeah, I was being an idiot, chasing a dream. Whatever. Now, money-wise, the owner had started out the business with loans from his father-in-law who ran a bank, a few other investors and loans from the state he operated in. I worked my butt off and was his Joseph, i.e. wore a coat of many colors, or I did many jobs. I was the network engineer, PC repair tech, mobile device repair tech, field service tech, on-site and remote network administrator, office equipment repair tech, security camera installation tech. I worked unpaid overtime, I worked at home when contacted directly from some of the clients. I worked weekends. I even did an hour of work while on my honeymoon. When the radio station the owner was advertising heavily with had one of their Saturday time slots open up as the host of that radio show retired, my boss convinced the radio station to let us have that hour to run a talk show based on technology if he would agree to spend at least $25,000 a year in advertising with them. And guess who now had to become a radio talk show host on Saturdays, unpaid? I was determined to prove my worth repeatedly and make him aware how invaluable I was to the company. Anyway, we did well and we had grown as a company. From a three-man crew, owner and myself doing IT work, a part-time guy doing some paperwork, ordering parts, we had moved offices twice and expanded the second office into taking up nearly half the main building and all of a secondary office building behind the main building. I was the head of the service department, which had grown to 4 other techs which I divided the work between. We now had 2 dedicated PC repair guys, dedicated network admin, and 1 on-site guys with me floating in between all of those jobs where needed. We had a small sales crew of 3, a receptionist, bookkeeper, and 3 guys who just did hotel Wi-Fi setup and security cameras. The owner had tried taking on various things to make the company profitable as quickly as possible with varied success. I saw the books regularly, so I knew the PC repair and network administration was the most profitable part of the company, though we did have a few slow months here or there. Also, the hotel Wi-Fi, with captive portal, was taking off and soon they had 3 more guys just doing hotel Wi-Fi installations. A month or 2 prior to our story, a business manager was hired by the investors, over the objection of the owner, to slim down the business to only the profitable work. Also, the owner had learned the local Xerox dealership was up for sale and he thought that was too good of a deal to pass up, and snatched it up without letting me know he was even thinking about it. Just boom, Monday morning he announced we were the Xerox reps in the area. I was uncomfortable with the expansion knowing that Xerox wasn't popular in our area. Ours was a Ricoh, Savin, Lanier area for office equipment. The business manager and I butted heads a few times regarding the balance sheet of my department. He thought the business was overpaying the techs and myself. The techs already were being paid $3 to $4 an hour less than what they could get elsewhere, and I was taking an $8 per hour pay cut, while giving all kinds of free overtime, that we were not generating enough new business opportunities. Our job, that's the sales rep's job to drum up business, not selling clients on any new equipment, not our job, again, and he had unrealistic expectations of how long our tickets show take to complete. It was at this point when I knew, the end was near. The story. It was a normal Wednesday. The IT meeting we had, like every other morning, went fine. I divvied out our work assignments, learned where we were at with our current projects and set expectations for what should be done by the end of the day. Standard BS. Boss wasn't there like usual, but it wasn't cause for concern. Everyone went about their jobs and I was in the field today. I'm on site working with a law firm client's printer about noon, when I get a call from a trucking company client asking if we would have their new computers delivered today. They had purchased 10 new desktops and one of the guys in the office would be finishing installing the client-specific software on them. Then the field tech would swing by the office, pick them up and then deliver, set them up. It was 15 minutes past the scheduled delivery time when they called. I assured the client, they were next on the list of the other field tech. Once that tech was finished, the client they were currently at, they probably got hung up at the job. I didn't think anything of it. Sure, my coworker was a little late, but he was reliable and hard-working. If he was late, there was a reason. I tried calling his business cell but it ran with no answer. Odd, but he could be in a bad location, might not hear his cell, whatever. I leave a message and text for him to call me and go about my day. I called the receptionist who said that my coworker hadn't picked up the computers but they were stacked up and ready to go. I fixed the printer issue at the law firm, but the lawyer needs me back before the end of the day to help with some data transfer that he needs done for a court case. No problem. I did an impromptu ticket and note that in my phone, setting an alarm near the end of my workday to remind me. I had lunch and went off to my next client. I get on site to another business and start fixing an issue they are having with their clothes embroidering machine, the heart of their business, when I get another call from the trucking company saying my coworker still isn't there and it is nearly 1:30 p.m. I apologize, tell them I'll get someone to deliver them immediately and call my coworker. Phone still is ring, no answer. I call the client site he had been scheduled for, asking if my coworker was around. I was told no, he said he was called back to the office and would return shortly. He hadn't completed the installation of antivirus software on their computers yet, and could they expect that done today? I direct called one of my PC repair techs in the office. His cell is ring, no answer, and no one is picking up the shop phone. Neither of the repair guys are picking up what the duck is going on. I called my boss, the owner, but before I could ask what is going on, he tells me he needs me in the office, as soon as possible. I'm on a client site. Their entire business is shut down until I can get this computer up and running, and this is one of our longest and most steady clients. Drop it and get back to the office. I arrive at the office, see none of my guys in the repair shop, lights are off back there, and walk into the owner's office asking him what is going on. Business manager tells me that they are letting go the IT department. They have seen a slowdown in IT work and decided that they were going to drop the IT department and go all in for hotel Wi-Fi, security, and this Xerox dealership. They let go the entire IT department, and I was the final one they were letting go. I tried to make a case for why this was a terrible idea and tried to explain all the work we had open, not to mention the dozen or so personal computers in the shop for repair and 3 mobile phones. But the die was cast and I was out, and they didn't want to hear anything I had to say. Fired. No severance. No apology. No, thanks. Just a, we don't need you anymore, indifference. Okay, my blood was boiling as I feel like I had just been completely betrayed and blindsided. It was everything I could do to just keep my mouth shut. So the business manager and the owner follow me back to my office, where I box up all my things. Owner has to confirm to the business manager that anything I was packing up, besides photos of my family, was really my property. This is where malicious compliance comes in. Now, per the business manager, before I could leave, I was to factory reset my phone before handing it in because he didn't want any apps on the phone that I could use to backdoor into it once I was gone. And he wanted me to start a hard drive wipe of my business-issued laptop for the same reason. Yeah, he wants me to wipe my computer, without backing up anything, and factory reset my phone again without backing up anything. I tried to tell them this was a bad idea, but I was told to just shut up and do it. When I tried to speak directly to the owner, I was again told wipe the computer and phone and leave the office. I suppress a grin and do what he asks. Without a word, start up Derek's boot and nuke on the laptop to wipe the main hard drive and the mirrored backup drive. I hand him the reset phone, move my boxed things to the front of the store, and then load my car, walking out the door without so much as a handshake from the owner. I called all of my coworkers directly, but only one of them is answering. He said all the guys thought I was part of them being fired and were upset with me. But when I said that I was just fired too, he went from being angry to shocked. He called up the other guys so we all could meet up for a beer and talk, all on my dime. So just after I get off the phone with him, I get a call from the business manager. I send it to voicemail. A few seconds later, I get the voicemail alert. He calls me again, and again I send it to voicemail. Owner calls me, and again, I send him to voicemail. I then turn off my phone. I met up with the guys and they are understandably upset, but when I explain I was blindsided too, then the anger is redirected towards the owner and the business manager. One of my ex-coworkers receives a call from the owner, which he picks up, listens to the owner and tells the owner that, I don't know. Go duck your mother. Then hangs up. Owner was asking if there was any way to get a hold of me, to which I tell the guys what the business manager had wanted me to do to the phone and laptop. Mouths drop open and everyone is now laughing their butts off. See, my laptop had all the usernames and passwords, server IP addresses, and status for all the tickets for all of the clients. My phone also had all of that data and all the contact information that we didn't have in the client hard files. We did have some of that copied to the main server and our ticketing system, but they didn't know where the folder was on the main server, plainly labeled, by the way, and they didn't know how to use the ticketing system beyond very basic stuff. And I wasn't going to tell them. When I turned my phone on later, I counted +30 calls from the owner and business manager, and about as many voicemails, including one from the embroidery business and the lawyer who heard I was let go and asking me to just come, finish the work I started and they would pay me directly. The voicemails from the business manager and the owner went from demanding to frustrated, to angry and threatening legal action to pleading to offering me 6 months severance and all kinds of incentives. While looking, the owner called me again and I picked up. It was the owner and the business owner who accused me of sabotage of the business, to which I pointed out that I tried 3 times to tell them not to wipe my computer or phone, but they didn't want to hear it. So I did what they asked. However, I knew most of the information they wanted, but I no longer was employed by them, so I had no obligation to give them that information. But I'd be willing to if they agreed to put it into writing that I would get 6 months severance, and all my techs got 3 months severance direct deposited into our bank accounts by Friday, along with all paid time off and unused vacation time. They pushed back and said 3 months for me and I'd get my PTO, vacation payout with my normal paycheck. Told them have a great life, figure it out themselves, and hung up. A minute or so later they call back and agree to terms. They agree to what I propose, but everyone would need to sign a non-compete. That we wouldn't try to open our own tech shops for 2 years and or poach any businesses. They were getting out of the business IT, residential repair, so that made no sense to me. They also would hire me and 2 of my coworkers back as consultants at market rate for 2 weeks, starting Monday, to complete open projects and properly shut down the shop. Turns out the law firm, trucking company and the embroidery company were all threatening to suit for breach of contract, as well as having some upset people with personal phones and computers in for repair. So good to their word, we get our direct deposits in our accounts by the end of the next business day, and I show them on the server where most of the data was, where it was in the ticketing system, and tell them that the rest of it is lost and they will just need to contact clients as they needed it. Monday came and myself and my coworkers who were hired on as consultants finished the open projects, got our pay and left the company. Aftermath. So as you could guess, things went poorly for the company after that, and it was a combination of incompetence and fraud. First, the owner wanted to have one of the sales guys take over the radio show, which he considers was his. But the radio station manager told him that no, the show was mine, I was the host and that was that. Besides, he owed the station a few $1,000s in advertising. Yeah, 7 years later and I still host that hour-long radio show about technology on Saturdays. Second, about 6 months later, the owner hired a couple new people back and tried to restart the IT side of the business. It went as expected, a complete crap show. The reviews and business rating went completely down the drain, and the investors grew angry with how the business was being run. Third, the owner moved the business downtown about a month after the mass firing happened. I heard the rent was nearly double what he had been paying before, but they thought the new location would drive more business and make the company seem more successful. Doesn't work that way, homie. It was there for maybe 9 months before moving to a tiny 3-room office in the industrial district. Third, the Xerox thing never made a dime for them. They lost a ton of money as they bought a number of business machines to show off in a showroom which received little to no traffic. I went back to see my former boss, the owner of the business, about a year after this incident. It was him, a salesperson and a part-time IT guy working in an office designed for 2 people. He tried to hire me pretty much on the spot, but I turned him down and wished him well. I followed up a year later and unsurprisingly, he was out of business. His creditors and some of the former business clients sued for $61,000 combined, and he also ended up owing an outstanding loan of $284,000 to the state, who also shut down the company, revoked its license, and ruled that the owner could never open another business in the state. Edit. I forgot to mention that the owner bounced me back and forth between hourly and salary, went hourly, then salary, then hourly, then salary, and 10% non-voting share of the company? I never saw anything from that. Ever. Thanks for listening.